You're listening to the Good Food CFO podcast, where we focus on financial strategies for building a profitable food business. I'm your host, Sarah Delavan. Today on the podcast, I am joined by Felice Thorpe, the founder of Felice Foods. I am also joined by Shannon Hiller-Webb, the principal of Prosperous. Together, along with me, we are the founding members of the Good Food Consortium, an organization that exists to provide meaningful, vetted education and access to resources for the growing stage food and beverage business owner. Felice, Shannon, and I are sharing our story of how we came to know one another, where the idea for the Good Food Consortium was born, and what we hope to do through the mission of the organization and in collaboration with other experts throughout the industry. I am so excited for you to hear this episode. So without further ado, let's get to it. Shannon and Felice, I am so pleased that you are here today. Welcome to the podcast, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to introduce both of you individually. Our regular listeners may remember Felice Thorpe. She was here in January, one of our most popular episodes ever on mission, vision, and values. Welcome back to the show, Felice.
Thanks.
Will you take just a moment to remind our listeners about your company and the work that you do to support good food business owners?
Yeah, I'm the sole owner of Felice Foods. I'm a consulting sales director. And the most important thing I do is expand your sales. So I do that through channel strategy, promotional management, sales strategy, go-to-market strategy, new product launches. So anything that a sales director would do for a brand, I do in a consulting capacity.
Amazing. Thank you. And Shannon, welcome. Your first appearance on the Good Food CFO podcast. Can you share a little bit about yourself and how you support good food business owners?
Sure. So I really look at bringing attention and awareness to the products, and that's done through first gathering a lot of data and insight on who is their customer and how we're going to reach them, and how they're going to stand out on the shelf, wherever that shelf may be, whether it's e-commerce or in a retail location. We want to make certain that we're focusing on getting the most attention and the biggest bang for your buck so that we're reaching the audiences to expand your business. So I do a competitive and profitability assessment as an initial engagement with a client. And then that goes into building a go-to-market strategy that's looking at earned media, paid media, advertising, exposure, and then it's kind of flows into Felice's work in how we build that sales funnel and expand that business.
Amazing. Thank you. And I think the listeners know what I'm up to in my day-to-day, but just in case, as a food business financial consultant, I focus on the financials, the money. Do we have the funds to grow the business in the way that the business owner desires, whatever that may look like? And if not, how much do we need? What type of investment do we want, right? What is the plan? Just really looking holistically at the financials of a food business and helping business owners to make their dreams a reality, right? And in sort of very broad terms, that's what we do. It looks like pricing, it looks like costing, it looks like, financial forecasting and budgeting and cash flow management. But at the end of the day, my job is to prepare financial information in a way that business owners can understand it so they can make informed decisions in regard to their marketing, their branding, and their sales. We all have very different expertise, but we all came together due to a common mission. And ultimately that led us to creating the Good Food Consortium together, which we will get into. And I'm really excited to share that with the listeners. But I want to talk about how we all met and how we got together, because I think that the food industry in general, the good food industry, particularly the consultants, are so welcoming. And everyone I've met, I've been able to develop really awesome relationships with, and people seem to meet out of the blue in this industry, like through LinkedIn or what have you. And I feel like the three of us coming together was kismet in a way. And I know I met Felice first, but I feel like Shannon and Felice, you knew each other. Where does this story even start?
I think it started, Sarah, when Clubhouse launched the social media app.
Yeah.
I was kind of scrolling through that, and a room opened up that was women in the food industry. And I was really craving contact with people, especially women. This was during COVID, and sort of found social media and business media like LinkedIn to be my new trade show, my new opportunity to meet new people and network. And so I jumped into this room and you were there talking about what you did. And I was just so impressed with how you represented conscious brands so well and understood conscious consumers so well. And that's something I'm really passionate about in the work that I do. So we reached out independently and just started chatting.
I love that. I had no idea that we met on Clubhouse. I think I was only there like 3 times. There was a
Yeah,
really
me
cool
too.
room, regarding consulting. Oh, I love that. And then I remember you emailed me and we had just a lovely conversation. And I remember you were embarking on starting your business at the time. And then during that conversation, you were like, you have to meet Shannon.
Yes.
And so before we get to that part, how did you and Shannon connect? Or maybe Shannon, maybe you want to tell that part of the story.
Sure. So, I mean, I've been consulting independently for a while, and it's lonely. And in COVID, it was lonely initially, and then everything expanded through COVID. We kept connecting with people kind of all over the country. But I was on LinkedIn, and a friend of mine posted that Felice had just launched her consulting business, and I thought, I want to meet her. I want to know her. And so I reached out and we connected, and the entire conversation was around values and mission and supporting businesses in such an altruistic way that we understood one another with a co-creation, like really co-creating an ecosystem of trust and mission alignment. And then she said, you've got to meet Sarah. And then you and I swear to God, it was just like the same thing. It was like instant friends.
Yeah.
Totally aligned. And then I think we just decided that it was time for the 3 of us to come together.
Yeah. And my memory of our first conversation, Shannon, is that we were on the phone for at least 90 minutes. Like, I feel like we had, I think same too. And I remember we had some commonality on, starting a food business, right? You started a retail store and I started a retail pop-up within the food space. And there was stories of burnout. There were stories of, working really, really, really hard to create a result, right? To create the dream. And we shared the story of, I tell the story sometimes. I had an incredible rash on my hand that was just completely due to stress. And at the end of the business, with the help of an acupuncturist, that went away. But that was a huge learning moment for me. It's not about just working harder and harder and harder, right? That's not always going to get us to where we want to be. And you shared a similar story of burnout and needing to step away. And like you said, too, the commonality that we have for supporting good food brands and mission-based businesses. So we ended up getting together and chatting. And I think knowing that these 3 parts of a business are so important, and for them to all speak to one another and be on the same page, right? So that the business owner and the brand has a united strategy for moving forward. Do you have any other memories of that first call or kind of how the next steps started happening toward the consortium?
Yeah. So actually there's another player in the mix a bit, because Sarah Weiner of Good Food Foundation, right? She and I had become friends. She lives in Portland and we had a burgeoning friendship. And she was the one who said, look, you have the right core mission and values. And we have our guild members seeking out support. We don't necessarily know where to refer them. And it seems like you do, and your network is large. Would you consider, putting something together? So we actually, and what another piece of that puzzle was, I had a client who'd won a Good Food Award the previous year. And when I reached out on their behalf to figure out how we could help support and amplify that award in conjunction with the Good Food Foundation. There weren't a lot of tools to offer these makers, and where this could be a very significant moment for these companies and something that they really wanted to maximize their exposure.
Yeah.
And so I kind of put the two things together almost a year later with the relationships of the three of us and Sarah with the Good Food Foundation and knowledge of what happened with my client in the past. We started talking about how maybe we could use our three areas of expertise to create a toolkit and a presentation where we could help the makers figure out what they can do to get a lot more attention. And so we really came together looking at our three pieces of expertise: marketing, sales, and finance. And we think we called and it was free. We wanted to make certain everything we did was well intentioned in exposure for them. It was called Amplifying Your Good Food Award.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was very well received,
Yeah.
which actually, to your point, when we started building like all the toolkit and how we are going to present ourselves, it seemed like the easiest way was one point of contact.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I remember, and maybe Felice, you can add to this, but I remember we had a conversation about, as consultants, and this goes beyond just the three of us here today, right? Like, we have relationships independently and together with other women in particular, which is really cool, throughout the industry that we know offer a ton of value for brands and food business owners, but it feels separated, right? The founder has to kind of do the work or make a bunch of independent emails and phone calls to get the group of support that maybe they're looking for. And we wanted to simplify that and say, you can just come to this one place and have sort of a group of vetted people. And in the beginning, it was just us. It was, I think it was a seedling idea. We're doing this really great presentation for the Good Food Award winners. But even then we were like, let's simplify this and make it really easy for them.
I think that our purpose was really to vent those silos. Is everybody's sort of working in these silos and really venting them and opening them up in a way that allows for really efficiencies and advocacy for brands, that you get like mind share equals market share, right? So the more minds you have working for you, the bigger your market share will be. And that's something that we all firmly believe in. And it's proven. I mean, it's a method, that big corporations, successful corporations use. And we're just sort of at this little micro level at this point. But I believe that, we can add trusted industry experts to this ecosystem, as Shannon says, and really, build a strong consortium.
Yeah. So the name came up because we're, Shannon is amazing. We all have such different personalities, right? Shannon is like, idea, I'm running toward the future. Like, here I go. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. What's the plan? I need to see the plan. And Felice is usually like the can do, like we'll make it happen kind of person. And I think we balance each other out. But I remember coming to a meeting one day and Shannon was like, we had been brainstorming names a little bit, but she was like, Good Food Consortium, and we've started a website and I've put your pictures on it. And we became like a thing kind of overnight, which was really wonderful and lovely. But even though it happened very quickly in that way, we put a lot of thought into if we're going to do this, because, and I'll back up a little bit, the presentation in January went really well and it was really well received. And the Good Food Awards and Sarah, asked if we would continue to provide education in support of Guild members, but we wanted to open it up beyond and also offer education to anyone in, sort of in the good food space. And so if we're going to continue this, if we're going to really create something here, what is our mission? And Shannon, I think that you speak to the goal really, really well. So can you share that with our listeners?
Yeah, so the Good Food Consortium exists to provide meaningful vetted education and access to resources for the growing stage food and beverage makers. We ensure the experts and resources we recommend are mission aligned and committed to supporting makers to optimize There are limited resources and funding. So we work with industry experts to negotiate value and pricing and packages to be affordable and accessible. And we are creating that ecosystem of synergistic resources based on our deep industry connections. And I think that's really truly what we're bringing. Oftentimes what you're saying is they're women that are coming to the table who are mission aligned and providing these resources. And we have years, I mean, of deep connections, especially I find Felice knows everybody. She's the Kevin Bacon
Totally.
degrees of
Mold.
separation. So I'm pretty sure if I meet someone that Felice knows them, which is kind of amazing.
I think something that's really important to sort of echo again, Shannon, and what you said as you were sharing the goal of the Good Food Consortium is that oftentimes businesses have limited resources and funding, yet the objective or the goal that so many of us, me included, when I started my good food business, we think bigger is better, grow, right? And we know that, for example, Whole Foods or Erewhon out here on the West Coast, right? It's like this white whale. And once you get into that store, like you've made it. And I think there's this idea that, once you're there, it's like smooth sailing, or the money is going to be rolling into the bank account. And through our experience and working with as many brands as we have collectively, we know that that is not the case. And so it's not the same path does not exist for every business owner. And I think it's very easy again, and we have done this, I'm sure. I'm speaking for myself here, but I can kind of bet that you've done this at some point in your career as well. You hear a bit of advice and you go, oh, okay, I must do that. That's the thing. That is the way to move forward. And so I'm going to do that. And again, if, as we have done independently before coming together, and something that we connected on was that it's frustrating as a business owner to chase the wrong goal, to chase the wrong dream that's not yours, to latch onto a piece of advice that wasn't really meant for you, but you didn't know. And so you talk about gating moments. And I think that's really important, right? Understanding what kind of business do you want to have, right? Going back to missions, vision, and value that you talked about in January on the podcast. What kind of business do you want to have? What is your dream? And then let's make that happen, and not to necessarily shut out the rest of the world, but just stay focused on what you want. And before you take a piece of advice and start to implement it in your business, understanding, are you at the right point in your business to implement that strategy? Is that strategy going to actually move you closer to your individual goals, right? All of those things. And I think that's a really important piece of what we're trying to do, is that we're bringing together resources from throughout the industry, and we're offering information and resources and education and connection. But with that comes mindfulness from everyone involved of who is this intended for, and at what point in your business should you be embarking on this strategy?
Emerging brands, they have a lot of education and support because they're all treated very similarly at that point of coming into the market. Where we've chosen to provide our services is at a very important moment, an inflection moment, if you will, where it will make or break a brand on the collective decisions that they make. This 200 to 300 level, which is kind of what we've identified, is where everyone's unique journey is where we're intersecting to help inform all the different resources that are available to them. And because that's a unique track, you can't just give generic training here. And I think we're all cognizant of the risks of all those decisions at each moment in this growth stage, because the stage beyond where we're consulting, that you're funded, you're supported, and there's adequate resources ad nauseam available to you. This is a tough moment. And I think we are protectors in the companies and brands that we work with. We are fighting the fight for you to protect the integrity of your business towards profitability.
Yeah. Yeah. You can speed really fast in the wrong direction. And I think I think we're really good at kind of pumping the brakes on that, or noticing that before it happens. And what we also do really well is understand the brilliant basics and the magic touches. And the brilliant basics are how is your product being produced? Are you financially sustainable? Taking a deep dive into the SKUs, the operations of the business. What are your potential sales channels? And then the magic touches are, if you look at it like an airline, the brilliant basics is the plane on time? The magic touch is, do you have a pillow for your seat? And we understand both of those things. And that is all what's so much fun about working together, is the plane is on time and you have the pillow for your seat.
Love it.
So well stated, Felice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you.
So how the Good Food Consortium lives in the world is through, to date, collaborative workshops and trainings and education moments. So I want to talk about, Shannon, you mentioned the workshop the three of us did for the Good Food Award winners earlier this year in January of 2022. We are working alongside the Good Food Foundation again in Portland with their upcoming Mercantile. We're doing a workshop, really a several-hour-long workshop. We're really excited about it. I'm going to let one of you share the details, but we're welcoming another consultant. Her name is Maddie, to the mix. And which one of you wants to sort of share a little bit about what we're doing in Portland, and then maybe how folks can get in on the fun?
Sure. We are doing a one-day workshop for all brands that define themselves as good food brands. So it is the day before the Good Food Mercantile in Portland. So we're definitely casting a net around those types of companies, but opening it up to companies that see themselves within that ecosystem as well. And we are breaking it up into 4 really important topics. And we have finance, which Sarah, you are doing so well. Shannon, marketing, go-to-market strategy. I'm going to be talking about sales, a lot of subject matter about sales channels, promotions. And then Maddie is going to be talking about, I think personally, the most exciting topic of the day, which is data. And this is something that a lot of brands at the level that we're working with, the 200, 300 level, don't have access or the funding to purchase conventional data like SPINS, Nielsen, IRI. So what Maddie is doing is bringing to the table sort of the low cost or no cost version of data that's out there that these brands need to know about and can access on their own, or hire somebody like Maddie to help them access it, build reports, bring that data to sales meetings and advocate for their brand. Because buyers, at the end of the day, what they're looking for is a data story to justify bringing your product into their category. I mean, your product might taste delicious, it might look delicious, but the buyer needs the hard data to prove that. And so Maddie is really going to break that down for everyone. And I'm so excited. It's going to be a great day.
So it's called Leveling Up Your Business Beyond the Basics of CPG. And my portion is standing out and shining bright through the noise. We've got Felice talking about mind your P's and Q's for the 6 P's to profitability. And Data is King, presented by Data Queen, is our lovely Maddie. And then You Have to Learn Before You Earn will be Sarah, contributing to even using internal data that you can create to help advantage you in speaking to all of your audiences. So I'm really excited about our collective presentation to really advantage the maker.
So there's really some information that you will, and knowledge that you can walk away with that's actionable. And I think something that will be always a part of the workshops and trainings that we do, a toolkit. So you leave with the recording, and then you've also got a toolkit to implement some of the things that we're talking about. So this particular training, as we said before, is the day before the Portland Mercantile. I think is it April 28th? I always get the date wrong. Yeah. At 1 p.m. So we're hoping that many of our listeners here and those attending the Good Food Mercantile will be able to join us live. But if you can't, we're also offering a recorded version. So you can register in advance. And then as soon as the recording is available, it'll be delivered to your inbox. I'm super excited about that. We'll have links and everything to register in the show notes here, but you can also visit the goodfoodconsortium.org to learn more about that event and to register there as well. Now, that is a paid event because we're going to be in a physical space. There's, legwork, travel, a lot that kind of goes into putting on that event, but we're also do free events. So I just want to kind of put that out there. And we've got a really exciting collaboration coming up in the summer. Shannon, do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. So Oregon Entrepreneurs Network, which this will be available to people in Oregon and Vancouver, Washington. They actually have an annual event that is called Oregon AF, which is angel food. And it's an investment track, which, one of the businesses that will be selected for around a $250,000 investment into their company. But the intent of the program is really primarily to make certain people are getting the education they need, whether it's doing a pitch deck for this that gets them the money or other opportunities to get investments. And so there are many pieces of the puzzle that they're given training on. And this year we are designing the full complimentary training, which is 4 weeks in June. And it's an hour of training each week. And then it's followed up with office hours where you can have a Q&A with the speakers that same week. So there is a lot of intention around how we're programming it for this particular track. And then there's a lot of intention on how we're giving access to our speakers so that you can specifically get guidance for your business. It's a great organization, and I know they are opening up, I believe, people to apply this month in the very near future. And you can go to oen.org, I believe, to learn more about Oregon Angel Food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I want to put a little nice word in for industry groups in general, because I think that yes, as women, but everyone should be participating in their industry groups, because it's like being in the best study group in high school. When you got to be surrounded with all of those really smart people and learn from them. And it just makes the experience so much better. And that is part of our group think with Good Food Consortium, and educating people like our workshop, like the OEN AF opportunity. It's really just expanding this industry group basically into, more.
Yeah. And I was delighted that they reached out to you, Shannon. You're based in Oregon, to see if this is something that we as a consortium, as the three founders, if you will, are interested in organizing. And it gives us the opportunity. And again, we're such early stage with this really, but it gives us an opportunity to now reach out to, 8 people to fill these slots for the hour training, every week throughout the event. And I think it's really, really exciting to be going beyond the 3 of us or the 4 of us as we're going to have in Portland, and really start pulling people in. And, I wish we had information to share about, additional future events, but they will come. And, we are excited to collaborate with other industry groups and organizations, throughout the country, if we can help, right? So just kind of planting that seed and putting that out there for folks. I think too, if you're listening and there's education that you're seeking, let us know. Part of our mission is to serve you as the business owner and to help you, as you said earlier, one of you said, like, know what you don't know, right? Identify what are the things you need to learn to move forward. Or just if you've got a specific question and you don't know where to turn for support, whether it's actual consulting services or just education, like the consortium can help point you in the right direction and connect you to the right people. We're in the process of building out the website. Can you share a little bit about what's coming on the website, Shannon?
Sure. I think the intent is to make certain that the resources provided are, like we've said, vetted and applicable to this level of engagement, the 200 to 300 maker. And we are actually working and identifying people from across the country,
Yeah.
right? Though while Sarah and Felice and I are kind of regional in the West Coast, our connections are across the country for the depth of services that people can provide. And so, the food and safety resource that we've identified is amazing and is East Coast,
Yeah.
right? And they can, and I think, again, I give a lot of credit to the COVID access. Everyone being comfortable on Zoom has allowed us to expand our network to bring the makers connected to those resources, no matter where they are. If it's the right fit, that's what we're seeking. And so the website's going to be reflective of the people, their bios, their contact information. And what we're also being cognizant of is having each of them define gating moments at which point to work with them. And then the gating moments we feel are very key because it can qualify, whether you can self-qualify or use us to qualify for you, where you're meant to go next and what investment is important to your business for the steps you've identified for goals and where you should be. So the gating moments, we think, are the signature of the organization in supporting these makers to make informed decisions towards success.
Yeah. I mean, I just love that idea of really, it's deeper than a roadmap. It's really like at this moment, this is what you should have. At this moment, this is what you should have. And we really walk you through that sort of, it could be, you could look at it as like a timeline or maturity of a company, maturity of a brand, because there's so many questions around that, around sales. Like, well, at what moment do I talk to brokers? At what moment do I hire a sales director? At what moment do I hire regional managers? And then, in marketing, you've got those same questions in every, finance, food safety. So what we're doing is we're synthesizing all of those moments into a map that is going to guide brands in the right direction.
Amazing. So for those listening, again, our website is called goodfoodconsortium.org. You can check it out. We'll have the link in the show notes. It's got information for the upcoming Portland event, which you can attend live or you can register for the recording. We don't have OEN information there right now, but if you are an Oregon-based business, we'll put a link to the OEN website in the show notes as well. So all of the information for that event is there, but we're super excited to be working alongside them and really creating the educational track for that. It's such, I'm really proud of that and what we're starting to put together there. We will have future events. We would also love to hear from you. So if you want to learn and stay up to date with what we're up to as a consortium, be sure to join the mailing list. You can do that from the website and let us know, what do you want to learn? How can we support you from the educational standpoint? Where do you think that education, training, or resources is missing as a good food business owner? We want to try to help identify the folks that can help you and bring them to you. Anything else, ladies, before we officially sign off for the day?
You can follow us on Instagram.
Forgot.
We'll be sharing more about the trainings and opportunities there for sure. We also want to take opportunity to amplify our good food businesses that are mission aligned. We'll be working to amplify them through our site there too.
Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to thank Oregon State for hosting our workshop day.
Yes.
We're really excited about that. I haven't seen the space in person, but it looks beautiful. It's in a new building. And I know they have a great food innovation program and they've been very, very receptive to us. And I just really appreciate that.
So Sarah Masoni with the Food Innovation
Yes.
Center. They'll be present at our in-person training so that you can learn more directly from them, and certainly look up Food Innovation Center if you're interested in going through the process of getting your product certified and food safety strengthened coming to market. So they're a great organization.
Amazing. Thank you for that. We'll put some links to that in the show notes as well. Lots of resources in the show notes this week. But Felice, for those listening who are interested in maybe learning more about the work that you do individually, where can they learn more and how can they follow you on social?
Yeah, say hello at felicefoods.com. Felice Thorpe at iCloud.com is my email, and Thorpe Felice is my Instagram, and LinkedIn, anywhere. Like I said, I'm very involved in industry groups. I really do believe that mind share equals market share, and yeah, excited to hear from everyone.
I love it. Shannon, how about you?
Well, prosperous.com, and prosperous is uniquely spelled as Prosparus. I'm also on Instagram with the same name, LinkedIn on with the same name, and you can always reach me, Shannon H at prosperous.com, and I would love to take a 30-minute meeting to help understand more about your business.
Well, Felice and Shannon, thank you so much for joining me here for this podcast episode. Thank you so much for reaching out and connecting. Last year, it feels like a little bit of a blur, but it really does feel serendipitous. It really is so lovely to be so aligned and to have come together to offer what I think is a really awesome service, in a sense, to the industry, and to really open doors, even individually, for me to connect with more consultants really does feels like a blessing. So thank you both for everything that you do and for including me in the consortium. And I'll talk to you all soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
As always, thank you for joining me here on the Good Food CFO podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes this week for links to all the resources we shared during the episode. If you want to continue the conversation, I encourage you to join us inside the free Profitable Food Business community. Visit profitablefoodbusinesscommunity.mn.co to join. I'll be back with a brand new episode in 2 weeks.